V was adopted into a wealthy, powerful family. When he was a kid, his adoptive parents treated him like nothing more than a servant. He was never even allowed to sit down and eat meals with the rest of the family. V was always the one who had to clean up the messes that his spoiled, deadbeat little brother made. He gave everything he had to this family, but he was never once acknowledged by his adoptive father. The biggest comfort for V was his little sister, who had also been adopted into the family. Even though they weren't blood related, they were as close as real siblings. Then, one day, an unexpected accident happened, and his little sister passed away, and he couldn't even clearly remember what happened that night. The two were taken to the hospital together, but they still couldn't save the girl. V's adoptive father was the richest boss in the area. Because he didn't want to attract attention, he had only resolved this matter quietly, but unexpectedly, someone had leaked this information to the media. The whole area was buzzing about the incident. Finally, V's adoptive father had no choice but to hold a press conference. He admitted to everyone that his adopted daughter had passed away due to inhaling too much toxic gas. Afterward, the reporters continued to dig up sensitive issues, causing the eldest son to lose control of his temper. In the end, the results of the press conference weren't good. The company's stock price plummeted uncontrollably, and the shareholders also withdrew their shares en masse. To prevent the company from going bankrupt, V's adoptive father was forced to find a new partner. He quickly found a business from the United States that was very willing to cooperate with the company. Until the board meeting took place, the representative from that business appeared. Everyone was extremely stunned to see that this person had the same appearance as the girl who had died. The death of the girl wasn't simple at all. As soon as the family found out that she also had a wealthy older sister, she unfortunately passed away at her adoptive father's house. The older sister didn't believe that this was just a coincidence. She decided to return to the country to investigate her younger sister's death and buy back shares in the company. At this time, Kate was looking at pictures of her late sister. She vowed that she would make the person behind this pay for their crime. The next day, she received an invitation to a birthday party at V's house. The assistant had something to take care of, so he couldn't go with her. He advised her not to go there alone, fearing she would be in danger. But Kate wasn't afraid. She had to go there and send them a surprise gift. As V's adoptive father was giving a speech, Kate gently walked over and said she wanted to send her blessings to him. He happily agreed. However, the paper that Kate took out wasn't a blessing, but her sister's autopsy report. It clearly stated that the cause of death wasn't toxic gas poisoning. Moreover, there were many injuries on the girl's body, and her internal organs had also been damaged. After speaking, she turned to the reporters, affirming that their family was covering up a murderer. The people present were all extremely surprised. They started buzzing. The eldest brother angrily rushed over to snatch the paper, causing Kate to fall to the ground. This was even more to her liking. She wanted to borrow the power of the media to ruin this family's reputation. But V's adoptive father still appeared calm. He pretended to apologize to Kate. As everyone was arguing back and forth, V unexpectedly knelt. He wanted to apologize to the girl on behalf of the entire family. Seeing this, the eldest brother was extremely angry. He thought that V had no power in this family. During this time, Kate affirmed once again that the reason she had decided to return to the country this time was to expose the truth. She wouldn't let this go easily. Afterward, she turned to express her disappointment towards V. In the end, she finally understood why he couldn't protect her younger sister. After speaking, she turned and left. Seeing the situation getting more and more complicated, his adoptive father called V into the room. He wanted him to follow Kate. The next day, Kate proactively called V. She already knew that he was following her. She even said that he could follow her openly. While the two were talking, Kate seemed so helpless that V refused to believe that his younger sister had been killed by his own family. Just at this moment, V received a call. V's younger brother had started causing trouble again. The victim was the fiancé of one of his subordinates. The younger brother had attacked his subordinate, then kidnapped the girl to a hotel and tortured her to death. After finishing, he called V to handle everything while he arrogantly left the scene. V shook his head in despair. He put his gloves back on, wrapped his leg around the girl's body, then put the girl's body in a suitcase and dragged it away. Suddenly, V heard the girl's cry for help. It turned out that she was still alive. Seeing the girl trembling in fear, V felt extremely heartbroken. He remembered his adopted younger sister. He decided that he wouldn't continue to indulge his arrogant younger brother anymore. V called a taxi to take the unfortunate girl to the hospital, while he could only watch from afar. After seeing that everything was okay, he finally drove away. V definitely couldn't have expected that what he had just done would cause him to take a step closer to the truth. The girl's family quickly found out and immediately called the police. The police investigated that this matter was related to V's family. At this time, V's adoptive father had arrived at the police station. Because the hotel's camera was broken, only a portion of the tape had been saved. The girl's family wanted to personally confirm who the person appearing in the tape was. V's adoptive father was extremely calm. He admitted that the culprit was his son. Afterward, he offered to pay for all the hospital expenses and give additional compensation to the victimized girl. But the other party didn't care about the money. He wanted the culprit to be punished appropriately. A little while later, V's younger brother had also arrived at the police station, but he said that his older brother was the murderer. Afterward, he even showed everyone a tape. The person appearing in this tape was V. Both V's younger brother and his adoptive father seemed very angry and vowed that they wouldn't cover for their family members. Once someone had committed a crime, they had to be punished by the law. After speaking, the two fathers and sons helped each other leave. V was pushed to the end of the road. He had no choice but to go find Kate to ask for help, and also agreed to help her find out the truth about his adopted younger sister's death. Kate knew that her younger sister trusted V a lot, so she agreed. That night, as V's adoptive father returned home, a gun was suddenly pointed straight at his head. The person holding it was V, but afterward, he lowered the gun. The father wasn't surprised at all. V handed him the USB drive that he had taken from Kate's room. Seeing this, he was extremely satisfied. It turned out that it was he who had told his son to approach the girl. Although V was now wanted by the police, he guaranteed that he wouldn't let him get caught. A few days before, he had even confided that he wasn't an adopted son. He was the son that he trusted the most. That was why he hoped that he could help him protect the entire family. V completely believed his adoptive father, not knowing that he only wanted to take advantage of him. Afterward, he even told him to keep this a secret. Just as V was preparing to leave the house, someone came over. V quickly hid in the room next door. He accidentally discovered a bottle of pills that looked very familiar. Back at the hotel, his younger brother had brought this bottle of pills with him. Afterward, V continued to remember that on the day his younger sister had the accident, the bottle of pills had also appeared there. He also saw his younger brother torturing his younger sister. Afterward, someone hit him on the head, causing him to faint. After remembering, V immediately went to the bar to find his younger brother. He angrily stormed over and punched his younger brother. He didn't expect that he could lay his hands on his own adopted younger sister, but that night, there was also someone else in the room. Before he could even get an answer, V was once again knocked unconscious by someone. A little while later, the eldest brother had also arrived. V kicked him hard, then crawled under the car and escaped. At this time, Kate heard some noise outside. She pulled back the curtains and saw that V had passed out. After waking up, V told Kate the truth about their younger sister's death. Hearing this, Kate felt extremely heartbroken and angry, just thinking about what her younger sister had had to endure. Both of them were determined to find a way to get revenge. Their first target was the younger brother. As he was drinking, he unexpectedly discovered that a bullet had been put in his glass. He angrily turned to ask his subordinate, but the subordinate didn't know anything about it either. After thinking carefully, he realized that other than him, only V had the key to this room. Sure enough, this was the first step in his revenge plan. As the younger brother went to the dressing room, V's voice suddenly rang out. He questioned his younger brother with a voice full of resentment. Although he was very scared, the younger brother still tried to talk tough. He said that he was just a beast that his dad had picked up and raised. When the time came, they would use him as a sacrifice. As soon as the younger brother finished speaking, V immediately hung up. He had recorded the younger brother's entire confession. After receiving the recording, Kate immediately sent it to the assistant to announce this to the media. The press quickly went to find the father of the victimized girl. Everything became even more serious when he announced that his daughter had passed away. He was extremely heartbroken. He wanted the real culprit to be brought to light. Everything was unfolding according to plan, but this speed was still too slow. Kate decided that she would win over V's second brother. He wasn't valued in the company and also hated his older brother. Knowing this, Kate offered to help him. As long as he listened to her, he would be able to easily seize power in the company. In the end, the two agreed to cooperate with each other. His task now was to find a way to divide the internal affairs of the family. After returning home, Kate looked exhausted. After all, she was just a girl. Seeing this, V prepared a cold towel to help her relieve her headache. While the two were talking, V accidentally mentioned his younger sister. Just thinking about her poor younger sister, Kate became extremely angry again. She was determined to get revenge and demand justice for her younger sister. After speaking, she stood up and went back to her room. At this time, V's adoptive father was using his connections to have the police temporarily not arrest his son immediately. He knew that this matter was caused by Kate and V. After hearing the news, the eldest son decided that he would order someone to kidnap Kate to help his dad eliminate future troubles. Seeing the two men in front of her, Kate immediately realized that she was in danger. She hurriedly ran to escape and quickly called V. But in the end, she was still discovered by them. As she was trying to resist, one of them hit her on the head, causing her to fall to the ground and pass out. Just at this moment, V ran over and rescued her in time. A little while later, the two had arrived at the hospital. V felt very heartbroken seeing Kate in such danger. The revenge plan would encounter many more difficulties. V's adoptive father's family took action extremely cruelly, but Kate was still very determined. She asked V's third brother to announce the tape recording of the kidnapping at the board meeting. After watching it, the shareholders immediately recognized that those were all the subordinates of the eldest brother. Faced with everyone's questioning, he still tried to argue. This situation made the third brother feel extremely pleased. He reassured everyone that he had handled everything smoothly. Afterward, he showed Kate's message to everyone. She said that the third brother had apologized to her on behalf of the company, so she would accept the apology and let this matter go. But she wanted to remind the shareholders to be cautious when choosing who would run the company. At this time, the eldest brother realized that his younger brother and Kate were colluding with each other. At this time, the three were discussing together how to get V's third brother to become chairman. V's adoptive father had been chairman for many years because he had grasped the secrets of the shareholders in the company. So they also started collecting evidence to easily bribe votes. Everything was unfolding extremely smoothly. There was only one person left who still refused to side with them, because this shareholder was very dedicated to the company. The third brother had no choice but to think of a way to make him see that he truly put the company's interests first. Seeing his sincerity, the shareholder finally agreed. That night, Kate and V were drinking and celebrating together. They were very confident about tomorrow's election. But just when Kate thought that victory was within her grasp, an unexpected event happened. V suddenly called the police and had one of the shareholders arrested. Because they were missing one vote, the eldest brother was able to take the position of chairman. The third brother's dream of becoming chairman was extinguished. Kate's efforts, placed on him, also became useless. Kate didn't understand why V had deceived her. When V went to visit his younger sister's grave, Kate also came there. She walked over and slapped him hard. The younger sister that he cherished had been killed by that evil family. She didn't understand why he was siding with them. Unexpectedly, V said that his adoptive father had nothing to do with his younger sister's death. The culprits were only the two brothers. He admitted that yesterday, he had gone to see his dad. He had told him about his and her plan. After talking, he decided that he would return home. That way, it would be even easier to get revenge. After all, it was this adoptive father who had given him his life. After getting revenge, he would pay him back with his own life. After speaking, V resolutely turned and left. A little while later, V had returned home. His adoptive father unexpectedly called him to eat dinner with everyone. This was the first time he had allowed him to do so. V's two brothers were very surprised. They strongly objected, but his dad said that they were a family. Moreover, V had to sacrifice a lot during this time. He wanted the three of them to treat each other like real brothers. Hearing this, the younger brother angrily left. The eldest brother also couldn't understand what his dad was trying to do, but after hearing him explain, he gradually understood. V still thought that what he was doing was right, but he had no idea that his adoptive father had planned everything. He called his eldest son into the room to talk, saying that he wanted him to eliminate the shareholder who was being investigated by the police. They would not let go of anyone who intended to betray them. The next day, that shareholder was killed right at his home. The scene was made to look like he'd taken his own life. After resolving this person, the father went to find his second son, reminding him to know his place. He didn't want to let him be chairman because his ambitions were too great. From the beginning until now, he had never helped his dad or his older brother with matters in the company. Hearing this, the younger brother was extremely angry. After all, he was also his biological son. At this time, a terrifying thought was gradually being kindled in his mind. At the same time, Kate was remembering the words that V had said to her. She still believed that V's adoptive father was only taking advantage of him, but she had nothing to prove that he was related to her younger sister's death. A little while later, Kate drove to a villa in the suburbs of the city. This woman used to be her younger sister's psychiatrist. At this time, Kate gently opened the door to the room. It turned out that her younger sister was still alive. The two of them were twin sisters, but their fates were completely different. The younger sister was adopted by a wealthy family, but was frequently abused. The older sister was taken to America to live. and became very successful. The two frequently contacted each other online, but the younger sister didn't tell Kate that she was being abused. She always thought that her younger sister was living very well. Seeing that her mental state wasn't stable, the younger sister proactively went to see a psychiatrist, but she still didn't tell the truth because the doctor was very close to her older sister. She only said that she couldn't sleep well, until the psychiatrist discovered the truth through one of her treatments. She immediately reported the situation to Kate, but as Kate was preparing to fly back to the country, the tragic event happened. After hearing the news, the psychiatrist hurriedly ran to the hospital. Coincidentally, the doctor in charge of the surgery was an acquaintance of hers. He said that the younger sister could still survive, even though she had suffered quite severe injuries. Because she didn't want Kate's younger sister to continue being in danger, the psychiatrist begged to be allowed to take the younger sister away. In the end, the doctor agreed to cooperate and told the family that the patient couldn't be saved. During this time, the psychiatrist secretly took the younger sister to her residence. Although she was able to save her younger sister's life, because she had suffered such a great shock, she had lost all of her memories, not even recognizing her older sister. That was why she had to find a way to approach V's adoptive father to investigate the truth. Originally, the plan was unfolding extremely smoothly, but then V decided to betray her. So, she decided that she would keep the secret that her younger sister was still alive from V. If his adoptive father found out, then her younger sister would be in danger again. The next day, his adoptive father called V into the room and gave him a task. He gave him a gun and told him to go deal with someone. V quickly went to the designated location. Afterward, he told his subordinates to all leave, saying that he would handle this man himself. But when the head covering was taken off, V was very stunned. It turned out that this person was his biological father. This father had just been released from prison not long ago. He was very happy to see his son again. On the contrary, V appeared extremely indifferent. He raised his gun and pointed it straight at his head. Even so, he wasn't afraid at all. He only asked the same question over and over again. He wanted to know if that adoptive father was treating him well or not. V appeared very grateful to his adoptive father. Afterward, he turned to question the father in front of him about the event from back then. Before, his adoptive father had told V that his biological father had personally shot his wife to death. Just as he was about to commit suicide, his adoptive father stopped him and promised that he would help him raise V like his own son. The adoptive father even advised him to turn himself in and seriously reform so that he could get out of prison quickly and see his son again. At that time, V was very heartbroken. In just one day, he had lost both his father and his mother. His adoptive father was the one who had taken him in, and this was the reason why he trusted him so much. When he met his biological father, V still wanted to hear the event from his mouth, but his father only advised V to let go of the past. In the end, V made his decision. A gunshot echoed through the space. V had personally killed his biological father to avenge his mother, but he didn't feel happy at all. He dazedly returned to his room. Just at this time, a stream of memories about the day his younger sister had been murdered flashed through his head. Because the memories were too vague, V returned to the room from that day, hoping to remember something. While searching, he accidentally noticed a wooden sword on the table. He slowly walked over and picked up the sword. The stream of memories appeared once again. Sure enough, he had seen the face of the murderer. It wasn't his younger brother or his eldest brother. That person was V's third brother. V immediately ran to find his third brother and said that he had remembered everything. He was the one who had hit V on the head, but the third brother calmly denied it. He even said that he was the only one who had witnessed everything that had happened. That night, when he saw V rush into the room in a panic, he followed him. He had personally seen his dad use a stick to hit V hard on the head. At that time, the adopted younger sister still wasn't dead. After telling the two sons to leave the scene, the father killed the younger sister cruelly. The third brother was extremely shocked. He didn't expect that the gentle father he knew was a cold-blooded murderer. Seeing that V still refused to believe what he was saying, the third brother continued to reveal shocking news. He had never been interested in women, so he had no reason to harm that poor younger sister. After speaking, he turned and left. At this time, V remembered all the signs in the past, along with the words that Kate had once said. He decided that he would go find his adoptive father to clarify everything. In reality, V's adoptive father had never trusted him. His telling him to go eliminate his biological father was just a test. But when he told his subordinates to all leave to avoid being seen, he knew that he had no intention of killing anyone. From that moment on, he had decided that he would eliminate this adopted son. He called V over and said he wanted to ask him to handle some matters. A little while later, V drove to the designated location with two subordinates, but for a long time, there was no movement. At this time, one of them, sitting in the back, suddenly lunged forward to attack V from behind. He tried to resist and quickly escaped. The two sides began to struggle fiercely. The gun was pointed at V several times. However, with his combat experience all this time, he wasn't easily subdued. In the end, a gunshot rang out. V leisurely walked down the car, then opened the gas tank cap. As he was preparing to burn the entire car, someone suddenly pointed a gun at his head. It turned out that V's adoptive father had sent his second son to monitor him. However, unexpectedly, he lowered his gun. He told V that they had a common enemy. If the two cooperated, they would achieve their goal more quickly. Of course, V agreed. After returning to their hiding place, V made a bold decision. He straightened his clothes and then quickly went outside. At this time, the server was going to clean V's younger brother's room. As she stepped inside, a horrifying scene appeared before her eyes. V's younger brother was no longer alive. Very quickly after that, the police called to report back to the victim's family. Everyone was extremely stunned, not daring to believe this truth. From the beginning until now, their family had always been the ones to bully others and had never suffered such losses. The eldest brother immediately guessed that the culprit this time was V. Thinking of this, his dad also became extremely angry. He requested that his son capture V alive and bring him back here so he could slowly torture him to death. The eldest son immediately ran to Kate's house to demand the person. He believed that V and this girl had secretly planned this together. Seeing Kate's assistant appear, he stormed over to force him to hand V over. Otherwise, he would level this house. While the assistant didn't know what to do, Kate calmly walked downstairs. She nonchalantly agreed to let the other party search her house. Kate's attitude made the eldest brother extremely angry. His younger brother had just been killed, and the enemy was nonchalantly provoking him right in front of him. His anger had reached its peak. The assistant planned to go over to stop him, but he took out a gun and threatened him. Just at this time, a subordinate came down and reported that V wasn't found in the house. Soon after, the sound of police sirens started ringing everywhere. It turned out that before, when she saw the enemy coming, Kate had already guessed everything and quickly called for backup. After being reported to the police by Kate, the eldest brother realized that he had been framed. In the end, he was taken away under escort. In Thailand, using a gun to break into someone else's house is a very serious crime. Moreover, Kate also provided the police with surveillance camera footage from inside the house. Because of this, the eldest brother would very likely have to go to prison. V's adoptive father was trying to use his connections to help his eldest son escape punishment. He knew that this wasn't easy, but as long as he had money, everything could be resolved. He was willing to offer a large price in exchange for his son's freedom. After discussing everything, the father turned to look at his second son in despair. He thought that he didn't care about his family, but these troubles weren't caused by him. He didn't think he needed to take responsibility. After hearing this, the father slowly walked over and slapped him hard. He scolded him for being useless, then angrily left. Being suddenly hit, the second son seemed very aggrieved. He wasn't willing to see his dad being so biased. A little while later, the third brother decided to call V to report that their adoptive father had sent people to find his biological father's house. Hearing this, V hurriedly returned home and took his dad to hide. The person who had been sent was the eldest son, but after searching for a while, they still couldn't find anyone. The eldest son was extremely angry. He fired his gun wildly everywhere. Unfortunately, a bullet hit his father. Just as the eldest brother was about to leave, he saw a cup of hot tea on the table. This proved that someone had just been here. He gently walked over to the cabinet in front of him. Suddenly, a gunshot rang out, startling everyone. They quickly chased outside. Seeing that there was no one outside anymore, V carefully helped his dad go into hiding. At this time, he hadn't discovered that someone was approaching. It turned out that this person was Kate. Seeing that V's dad was injured, Kate took both of them to her villa in the suburbs. This was also the place where her younger sister was being hidden. After receiving emergency treatment, V's dad's life was no longer in danger. Seeing his dad having to endure pain, and Kate also being very worried, he felt extremely guilty. He sadly walked out of the room. V didn't expect that his adoptive father was the person who had killed his younger sister. He started to have doubts about the events that had happened many years ago. After all, the entire story had only been told by him. Unable to distinguish right from wrong, V finally opened his mouth to ask his biological father about the truth of that year. Hearing his son's question, the father seemed extremely troubled. He only wanted him to forget the past. After speaking, he coldly kicked his son out of the room. V went out to the garden and met Kate. This was the first time the two had met again after the board meeting. He proactively apologized and seemed very remorseful for not listening to her at that time. Unexpectedly, Kate could understand him. If she had been in his position, she probably would have made the same decision. After the conversation today, it seemed like the two had developed feelings for each other. The next day, V suddenly heard a very familiar sound. He pushed open the door and saw a girl with short hair sitting on the bed. When the girl turned her head, he immediately recognized that this was his lost younger sister. Just at this time, Kate also came over. As soon as she saw Kate, the younger sister screamed in fear. V chased after Kate to clarify this matter. He didn't know why she had hidden the fact that his younger sister was still alive from him. Kate explained that at that time, he still trusted his adoptive father completely. If he had found out, then his younger sister would be in danger again. At this time, the psychiatrist also stepped forward to explain further. Because she had suffered severe trauma, the younger sister had lost her memory. She was afraid of everyone, especially her older sister, who had the exact same appearance as her. But just now, when she saw V, the girl's mental state was extremely stable. Perhaps V could help her younger sister regain her memory. A little while later, Kate and her assistant went outside together to meet an important person. They had no idea that danger was still lurking. V's adoptive father was still determined to find him, no matter what. As the eldest son prepared to go out to find V, the third brother called him back. The relationship between the two wasn't good, but at this time, the third brother proactively suggested that he had a way to catch V. After all, the two were biological brothers, so at times like these, they needed to help and support each other. The third brother told the eldest brother about the meeting place with Kate. When she saw the uninvited guest, Kate was extremely surprised. It turned out that she had a meeting with the third brother, but she didn't understand why that guy had suddenly betrayed her and joined hands with the enemy. In the end, Kate was taken away by the eldest brother's men. At the same time, the third brother was called V. He pretended to be kind and told V about Kate's current situation. V hurriedly went to find her. He fought hand-to-hand with the guards alone. They were no match for him at all. The further he went into the den, the more enemies there were. Although V was also injured, he didn't give up. He was determined to save Kate. Even if he had to sacrifice his life, he didn't want anything to happen to her. After a fierce battle, he finally found her. At this time, the eldest brother laughed crazily. He wanted to torture V to death. At the same time, the third brother, standing in the back, was always staring at his older brother. He gently walked over and pointed the gun at his older brother's head. Soon after, a series of gunshots rang out continuously. Kate was truly stunned when she witnessed this scene. She couldn't imagine that the scholarly man in front of her could have such a terrifying appearance. Afterward, he turned to remind V about the cooperation between the two and put the gun in his hand. It turned out that the two had agreed beforehand that as long as he could kill the eldest brother, then V would take all the responsibility on himself. That way, his third brother's dream of becoming chairman could quickly become a reality. V's adoptive father had 4 biological children, but his youngest son and eldest son had both died. That only left his third son and his younger sister. Now, he could only leave the company to his second son. So his plan had finally succeeded. Right after taking office, the third brother immediately demanded that he deal with the shareholders who had followed his dad for so long. He wanted to start building his empire. At this time, Kate was also very surprised by the third brother's ambitions, but V wasn't surprised at all. On the contrary, he became even more determined to help his younger sister regain her memory. To help his younger sister remember, he first needed to find someone who could make her feel at ease when she was with him. And that person could only be V. He had to find out the reason why she was so scared. The doctor also said that every time she saw a doll, the younger sister would become agitated. Hearing this, Kate felt very strange because before, the two sisters had liked playing with dolls. This proved that dolls were connected to very painful memories that the younger sister always wanted to forget. After discussing, everyone came up with an idea. V gently took a doll with him and then walked towards his younger sister. At this time, the younger sister was still very calm, but as soon as V took out the doll, she immediately became extremely agitated. Seeing this, V felt very heartbroken. He hugged his younger sister tightly in his arms and gently comforted her. Feeling the familiar warmth, the girl finally agreed to tell the truth. It turned out that from the moment he brought the newly adopted daughter home, the father had had bad intentions. He used the name of his adoptive father to satisfy his depraved desires. But for so many years, V hadn't known anything. He had always trusted and listened to him. Thinking of this, hatred boiled up in his heart again. He was determined to avenge his younger sister. V decided to meet with the biological daughter, his adoptive father's only biological daughter. Although the girl agreed, she also reported this to her dad. She still believed that V was the one who had killed her two biological brothers. After arriving at the meeting place, the girl didn't see V anywhere. She only saw a headset on the table. At this time, V's voice started to transmit, and he told her the entire truth about the deaths of her two brothers. Not only that, but he also said that his adopted younger sister was still alive, but had lost her memory. The culprit behind everything was the father, whom the girl always respected. Of course, she didn't believe V's accusations at all, but V insisted that everything he said was completely true. He asked her to go find evidence to prove the evil deeds that her dad had done were real. As long as she found it, she would be able to see what kind of person her dad was. Just at this time, a few subordinates rushed in, wanting to arrest him, but V quickly left the restaurant. After returning home, the daughter proactively went to see her dad and said that she still believed that V was the one who had killed her two brothers. Her dad looked pained and hugged his daughter tightly. But at this time, the daughter had started to doubt her dad. A little while later, she decided to go meet with the third brother. After all that had happened, he was the one who had gained the most benefits. She pretended to lament that she missed her two recently deceased brothers very much. But it seemed that the third brother didn't feel sad at all. On the contrary, he advised her to quickly forget the past. His attitude made her start to believe more in what V had said. The more she thought about it, the more she found things very suspicious. So after seeing her dad leave the house, she decided to go find evidence according to her adoptive brother's words. When she saw the computer on the table, she quickly went over and looked through it. Unexpectedly, she saw extremely terrifying scenes. Her respected dad had harmed his two adopted daughters. Not only that, but she was even more stunned to see pictures of herself. At this time, the girl completely broke down. She couldn't believe that her dad was a pervert. She had to get these to use as solid evidence. At this time, the only person she could trust was V. After making an appointment to meet him, she went to a bar to wait in advance. At the same time, her dad also started taking action. He ordered people to find and kill V, no matter what. A little later, his subordinates returned near V's residence. Because he wanted to save his son, his biological father decided to use himself as bait. Disregarding V's objections, he resolutely drove off. The subordinate hurriedly chased after him. Seeing that there was no one around anymore, V quickly escaped. He drove to Kate's place. His dad had also returned to the place, but he had been shot by a gun. Seeing this, V suddenly felt very guilty. In the past, the person he hated the most was his dad. But now, he was sacrificing his life to protect him. In the end, V's dad couldn't survive. Everyone felt extremely sad. Just at this time, V received a call from his younger sister. He hurriedly ran to find her. The younger sister gave him all the evidence that she had collected. When he witnessed the disgusting things that his adoptive father had done, V felt extremely furious. When he saw his younger sister planning to leave, V held her back. He was worried that she would be in danger, but the girl said that she could take care of herself. Seeing that his younger sister was so determined, V had no choice but to let her return home. At this time, V was in the bathroom. Suddenly, someone attacked him from behind. Although he had been stabbed, he still tried to resist. Before falling unconscious, V managed to report the news to Kate. After waking up, he immediately showed her the evidence that he had obtained. Kate was extremely shocked by the evil actions of this man. The two were determined to make a revenge plan. First, Kate called the third brother, but he said that their cooperation was over. In the future, they didn't need to contact each other anymore. Next, V called his adoptive father, affirming that he had nothing to do with the death of his eldest brother. Hearing him say that, the father became extremely angry and didn't believe what he was saying. But with his suspicious nature, in the end, he still contacted the police to investigate further himself. The results of the investigation showed that the culprit was left-handed. This completely matched the habits of the second son. To confirm one more time, he went to find his son. He handed him a glass of wine and then carefully observed him. Sure enough, he used his left hand to pick up the glass. After confirming that his second son had personally killed his eldest son, he lunged over and hugged him tightly, then stabbed him hard in the back. After finishing, he nonchalantly drank his wine, ignoring his son, who was still writhing in pain. The next day, while being interviewed, he acted extremely sorrowful. He said that he knew who the murderer was, who had killed his two sons before, and that his only remaining son had also found evidence. But just as he arrived to find his son, he had been murdered. He affirmed that V and Kate were the culprits behind all of this, but he couldn't have known that his adopted daughter was still alive. Moreover, she had remembered everything. After finding out, Kate hurriedly ran to the hospital to visit her younger sister. With enough evidence, Kate and V decided to counterattack. Kate held a press conference and called many reporters over. She affirmed that V had never killed anyone, and that the real culprit was that pitiful old father. She had witnesses and physical evidence to prove this. The first witness was his wife. She had no idea that her husband was such a cruel person. When the tape was shown in front of the public, everyone was extremely shocked. The second witness was even more surprising. It was his biological daughter. She admitted that her dad was a pervert. Not only had he harmed his adopted younger daughter, but he also had bad intentions towards his biological daughter. He was also the one who had caused the brothers in the family to kill each other. Finally, the adopted daughter also revealed herself. Although she was very scared, seeing V standing by her side, she dared to tell the entire truth. At this time, the father had been pushed to the end of the road. He had no choice but to call an acquaintance to find a way to escape punishment. But with the witnesses and physical evidence available, no one could help him this time. When that police officer gave an interview, he also affirmed that he would not let this matter go. After speaking, he quickly went to arrest the person. V's adoptive father was extremely desperate. Just as he was about to end his own life, V and Kate had found the place. The two walked into the room together. At this time, he still tried to act calm. He boasted that he still hadn't lost. After all, the adopted daughter had revealed herself, which proved that he hadn't killed anyone. Moreover, there was no evidence to prove that he had killed his second son, so he would easily win the lawsuit and wouldn't have to suffer any losses. Seeing his adoptive father still being so stubborn, V told Kate to go outside so he could talk to him privately. He wanted to know the reason why he had wanted to kill his younger sister. It turned out that at that time, the younger sister was pregnant. Because he didn't want his reputation to be ruined, the father forced her to take medicine, and then murdered her. It seemed that he was trying to provoke V. He even told him about the event from many years ago, saying that he was the one who had killed his mother. To protect his son's life, his dad had taken the blame on himself and let him become the adopted son of this demon. After speaking, he stuffed the gun into V's hand. He wanted him to become a murderer, but V was the one who had planned everything. After hearing the father's confession in front of him, he burst out laughing. He had cultivated a true hunting dog. Step by step, he had caused him to personally kill his 3 biological sons. At that time, V had publicly released the picture of his youngest son, killing the woman in the hotel. To protect his reputation, he ruthlessly killed his son. Next was his eldest son. V had taken advantage of the strained relationship between the 2 brothers to easily eliminate one person. In the end, there was only one person left who was the most difficult to deal with, because the third brother was a very intelligent person. But unexpectedly, it was the adoptive father who had helped him complete this difficult task. At this time, the father could no longer remain calm. He secretly grabbed a pen, then rushed over, planning to stab V while he wasn't paying attention. But of course, he was no match for him. A little while later, the police started rushing over. Just as the father was about to end his life, he discovered that there were no bullets in the gun. V quickly removed all the bullets. At this time, Kate slowly walked over. She angrily slapped him twice. The first slap was to get revenge for her younger sister, and the second was for the child in her womb. Being humiliated like this for the first time, he immediately went crazy. Afterward, his time in prison was truly hell for him. As for V, he decided that he would leave this place to start a new life. Although Kate tried to hold him back, in the end, he still chose to leave. Half a year later, Kate's assistant and the evil father's biological daughter were together. The two were running the company together. Kate had also returned to America. Suddenly, one day, as she was walking out of a cafe, she accidentally bumped into someone. This person was none other than V. And with that, the two had finally returned to each other's side. The movie ends here. Leave your thoughts about the movie in the comments below. Goodbye, and see you in the next video.